All right, we're
We're
live.
here.
Okay, welcome to Mile High Recovery Chat.
You always seem so surprised when it
I
goes
am.
live.
I know I am because you go from not being live to being live, and
Like,
then
oh my God, it's happening.
the second of like self-conscious sets in, and you realize you're live.
Same face. Oh my God, people see me. I'm Lindsay with Mile High Continuing Care. Which
And
way is Bryce?
I'm right. So,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, this is our show to talk about recovery. I'm here in Denver, and Lindsay, where are you?
I'm in Fernandina Beach, Florida this week, Bryce. I tried to escape some of the Colorado weather and I was foiled because it's only 40 degrees here. And lo and behold, I can't wear flip flops and shorts this week.
40.
Womp womp.
Okay. Well, that's a bummer.
It's a bummer.
It's cold
Yeah.
here too. I don't know how cold. Might be.
Man, I heard it. Listen, when I left for the airport on Sunday morning, it was 7 degrees. So, you know what? I'll take the 40 degrees over Colorado 7 degree like mornings right now because what's nice is when I go out of the house in the morning, I don't get slapped in the face by the wind and the cold weather. So that's a relief.
What are you doing out there? You got family?
Yeah. So, benefit of sobriety is I have healthy relationships with my parents now. So I'm a welcomed guest in
Good.
their home to come and visit and we can work remote. So pack up my laptop and head on out to just have like a change of scenery, a change of environment, and be with people. I'm a part-time parent, so I am alone most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
What's
today,
going on with you this week?
just work, staying in my lane.
Yep. Are
Went
you
to the
staying
gym.
moisturized?
What's that? Staying
Staying
moisturized.
moisturized.
I,
Good. You're doing some artwork too, I see. What's going on back there?
I
Is
mean,
that your new paint?
yeah,
Yeah, your new painting.
it's a drip painting. I like to do drip paintings occasionally.
That looks great.
Thank you. And I did this in my backyard, and right at the very end, I spilled the whole bucket of paint. And it's a mess. And then I ended up having to literally hose the whole backyard to get all the white paint.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What is it painted on? Like what's the material you use?
It's called masonite. It's just
Okay.
thin, like thin board. My first sponsor, Santiago Jaramillo from D3 Arts. He was my first sponsor, and he turned me on to masonite. He's a professional artist. I'm just a hobbyist or whatever.
Whatever. It looks great. You did a good job. Yeah. I'm excited for tonight's show. We've got a really cool guest.
Yep, we're talking to Duke Rumely from Sober
Yeah.
AF Entertainment. I want to tell a story real quick. When I first started doing this, I opened up one house in the Congress Park area, and I threw an open house. Someone said throw an open house. I literally didn't know anybody. I knew not one soul, except maybe Sean over at Red Rock Recovery. And I just got as many email addresses as I could put together by combing the internet, and I invited people. And right when I said that it started, and I had all this great food, Duke and another guy named Steve Latour just come blasting in, and they're talking, and they hit the food immediately, and it was like this whirlwind. And that was the first time I met Duke, and he's kind of like a long time guy in recovery and in the Denver or the Colorado, treatment industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're going to bring him on. Sober AF is like
Awesome.
this super cool thing, and I'll kind of let him explain it.
Yeah, I can't wait. Let's bring it on.
What's happening? Dude,
Thanks for that intro, Bryce. That was so heartfelt that I showed up and ate all your food at your party. So when I've done all the Briggs Myers tests, it's like, oh, you're the guy who shows up early to the party. It's like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I don't say goodbye. I say the Irish goodbye, right?
Well, I don't remember. It was 5 years ago. It was kind of a whirlwind, but I was really happy you showed up, and you were so nice. You were working at Recovery Village then.
It seems like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
At least in
It
my
was a
world. I've
while.
worked for 13 places since then, it feels like.
Because you probably have.
I've worked for all of them.
Yeah. So I know you got something to promote tonight, but let's talk about Sober AF. So basically what it is, and it's a super cool idea. And I mean, you promote it all the time, but it's like when you go to a concert and you're in recovery, or even if you're not in recovery, and you want to find the section where there's more sober people. Was that kind of the original idea?
So I got taken to treatment in 1989, and I knew the jig was up. I had flunked out of college a couple times, and you had that little thought like, life might be okay without alcohol. That was my step zero. And I knew that I'd gone to a bunch of Grateful Dead shows, and there was a group there called the Wharf Rats. And the Wharf Rats had yellow balloons, and they hosted sober meetings, and it was really weird, right? Like nothing like walking through a crowded hallway where everyone was tripping on acid. And then there's this one small group of people talking about staying sober. So I didn't know anything about them, but I knew they were there. And this idea in my head, like, as long as I can go see Dead shows, 28 days, I'll be normal guy, sober guy. And then 3 days, I'll have a community for some sober fun. It made, kind of this sobriety idea a little easier to swallow.
Yeah.
So fast forward 28 years later, I have a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old. And my 20-year-old is texting me from Red Rock saying, "Hey, I need to take an Uber home." And, as a loving parent, my first thought is, how much is an Uber home?
Right.
But my second thought is like, what is really going on?
Why
And
do
she
you
wouldn't
need
tell me? And then finally she's like, "Look, everyone I'm here with took ecstasy, and I don't feel safe going home with them." And my son was 16, and one of his friends got into a brownie that had a bunch of weed in it, and ambulance and cops.
Oh gosh.
And I just had this thought like, you know what? My kids could be dead in 6 months. And they're at this really critical age.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really kind of out of self-preservation. I was like, why is there no other culture besides this ecstasy culture at electronic dance music? And why is it all beer pong in the parking lots at all the sporting events? So it's bullshit is what it is, because there's no money in abstinence. So we went out of our way and started this thing, and we hosted a sober tailgate at Base Nectar was our first event. And they have their own sober support inside Base Nectar called the Hummingbirds. So we threw a sober tailgate beforehand, and then our volunteers went in and helped man their booth. So that was great. We did another one at Red Rocks, and then we did one at Mile High Stadium. At Coors Field for a Rockies game. We sold 140 tickets in about 6 days.
So is that how it works? You purchase another ticket to be able to access like the Sober AF area, like when you're at an event? What does that look like?
So we step in and we contact the stadium or the event and say, "Hey, we're a nonprofit. We want to host a sober section." And then we get discounted seats in that section.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea. I just started going to concerts maybe over the last in 2019, because then the pandemic kind of, ruined the plans for 2020. But I had no clue that there was sober sections through Sober AF that I could have been sitting with
64 people. We've done 64 of these.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Rockies, Avs, Nuggets, and then we started working with CU football and CSU. And then we did one 2018. We're in Ann Arbor, Michigan for a Michigan football game. We did Notre Dame at USC in LA. And then in 2019, we had a full football tour where we went to the biggest college football game every single weekend and hosted a giant sober tailgate and tried to get discounted seats for anyone willing to be sober. So really the goal is we don't want you to feel like a weirdo because you're the sober guy who's not taking drugs and alcohol at an event.
So you go around from like place to place wherever the events are, hosting these like sober sections.
I get around, yes.
You do get around.
I get around. We are nationwide is the goal.
Love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I saw the Dead in '89 at JFK.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, and I wasn't sober.
Right. Well, here's Jerry.
There he is. There he is, folks.
Right.
Right there on Duke's
right on my
shirt.
heart.
Right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's so sad. I mean, how many artists have we lost because of drug overdoses? Right.
Yeah.
Jerry Garcia died in a detox.
Wow.
From withdrawal from heroin and alcohol.
Heroin and alcohol, yeah. He wasn't the healthiest cat either. And
No.
yeah, and so I remember that show. I mean, there's nothing really like a Grateful Dead show that I've ever experienced. And then like most of my life, I was a booking agent and a musician and did, promotion. So I was a promoter. And so you're kind of a promoter now.
I am, yes. I am I'm the old man at the festival, Bryce.
Well,
so but what's nice is we now have music festivals reaching out to us, asking us to host either a sober tent or a sober campground. So there is Country Jam out in Grand Junction, and really we were going to host a 4-day sober tent inside the festival and a sober campground. A year ago, New Year's Eve, we did a sober tailgate inside the Pepsi Center, 140 people for an Avalanche game on New Year's Eve. Sober on New Year's Eve. What a crazy concept.
Wow.
Then we went across the street and there was a music festival going on called Decadence. And it's all the really cool EDM. It's the largest like EDM festival on New Year's Eve in the country, or probably in the world. And we hosted a sober support tent in there, and they gave us 6 tickets for both nights. And we got volunteers to man the booth, and we were there. And we actually had a kid walk up and say, I came here with 2 buddies. We all pledged we'd be sober, and they used. And I knew you guys were here, and I've been looking for you. And if I didn't find you, I was going to use. So we kind of brought him in and tried to talk him down, and he was pretty triggered. So after about an hour with us, he decided to get out of there, head home to Fort Collins, and go to his home group, which was doing a candlelight midnight meeting. So that was flipping awesome. That kind of proves it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because in early sobriety, like that's definitely a thing. Like, can I go to concerts, and what's it going to be like at a concert? Mm-hmm. What if somebody hands me a joint or a beer? And I mean, we've all been to concerts. You see people just completely intoxicated and just hammered, right? And
there were a lot of kids in wheelchairs at that thing, just kind of somebody not being able to walk. Yeah. So we just want people to like realize, hey, there's a community out here. Want you to join us. And then ideally, if we're not at an event you want to do, you can host your own sober tailgate. And
so how do you do that? So like if I'm listening to the show right now and I am just like pumped up because I want to be able to go to events and find like everything you're talking about, what do I do?
So go to our website, soberafe.com. So if you go there, you can find out what we're doing. And B, there's also a spot that you can say, hey, I want to host my own. We'll get you a policy and procedures. We're going to get you some swag with our name on it. And then ideally, we're out promoting your own sober tailgate and sober section. So we had a group in Georgia buy, I think, 50 tickets for a game for the Braves last summer. And another group in Detroit buy 500 tickets for a Tigers game. Both got canceled because of COVID. F you, COVID. But
yeah. So how have you dealt with COVID? You sort of had to pivot, right?
So I've dealt with it very poorly. So it turns out I can't manage COVID. So I'm very powerless over COVID. So we had to grow up as a nonprofit. We were about 2 years old. It hit. We went virtual. We hosted 3 music events on Twitch, and we had 130 artists we hired. We had 40,000 people watch. It was a ton of fun. And let's see, what is Brian saying? Brian Fish? Yes. So right now we're having one. So you can go to, how's that look? So right now what we do is we use Twitch, which is a free app. Leave here, go there. Just kidding. After the show, you can leave here and go there. But so on Twitch, we set up a music festival. People watched. And we're changing the stigma around the idea that if you get sober, life ends and you can't have fun anymore. So after this summer, and we had the 40,000 people watch, we've done a couple in-person events, but really started applying for grants, and we came out of it with this idea of, for the next 6 months, every other Thursday, we're hosting a music festival or music event on Twitch. And in between, we stitch in some sober support. So tonight, I'm going to interview the sober raver, and you get to see that in between Rohan Solo and Bitsky.
Rohan Solo.
So if you're curious, this is Rohan Solo.
Okay.
Killing it right now.
These big names.
So we've had, people who have 4 or 5 million different downloads on.
Wow.
No, it's not SoundCloud. So this is my boomer moment, right? Like kids tell me, it's like, look, you're not cool. You think you're cool, you're not cool. And there's a lot of like really gut-wrenching boomer moments that I have.
Bryce, do you have boomer moments?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I played music my whole life, and I was like this, in the scene, and then I owned a bar, and I thought I was a musician, and I wasn't. I was selling alcohol. Even as a band at that level, playing in bars, we weren't entertaining people. We were, but we were really selling alcohol. Like that's what it was all about. It's like you said at the beginning, like there's no money in abstinence, right?
None.
There's
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero money to save this next generation.
Right. Mm. It's a good thing what you're doing, and it's like in the industry, it's like all about getting sober and like where you get sober, and are you going to go to this place to get sober or that place to get sober? But this is like staying sober, being in recovery, like being accepted. It's about like awareness and prevention, and like you said, fighting stigma, right? Like the more like normalize, if we can normalize not being wasted at a concert, then less, because there's a lot of people that get peer pressured into that kind of stuff, right? Like your daughter.
All of them. We all did.
Right.
All of us. Our kids do.
Yeah.
So it's like life after sober, and you're like the life after sober. You're the plugging people into like sober people do things just as like normies would, but we remember the entire event, and I don't wind up in detox anymore.
Yay.
Yay!
Right? No detox. So I try to explain to people like, look, this is a thing, and we might be a little early, but it's like a no smoking section 30 years ago. Right? It was a crazy idea. The first time somebody was like, no smoking section. And that's what it is. There will be a sober section at all sporting events and all music events somewhere in the future.
I love that.
Yeah. It's cool. So you got anything cool coming up? Like anything big coming up?
So we do. We have gone all out, and we are throwing a sober Super Bowl party in Tampa. It's called the Safe Bowl, and we will be in person and virtual. So for 3 hours, we're having a live stream. We've partnered with White Sands Treatment Center, some former NFL players. We are going to have 3 musicians play at this, and we're going to have the deputy director of the Office of the National Drug Control Policy there, along with some other politicians, giving some talks on how important this is, what we're trying to do. So that is February 7th. Today's what, the 14th?
Today's the 14th.
So the
So
28th,
and this
we'll
is
have
in
another one of
person.
these. What's
This
that?
this is an in-person gathering. This isn't virtual.
So both. Super Bowl will be both.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, you have to
Wow.
come. You're in Florida.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to be home by that point.
No, you're not. It's
Remember,
Florida. Stay there. It's so warm. It's 9 degrees below zero here. You don't want to be here.
I think planes will still be flying, and I can maybe come back out.
$77 flights.
I know it's
Right
ridiculous
here.
right now what you can get.
You have to fly in the bathroom and wear a backpack, but if you can
Right,
handle
and you
that.
can't bring anything. You
Right.
can't bring anything.
It's
Just
Florida,
yourself.
bring t-shirts. Right, so you're coming, right?
Yo, yeah, I'll be there.
Okay. So that's February 7th in person, and then we have 1,000 tickets reserved for the Rockies, June 18th, Friday night, 1,000 tickets, National Recovery Appreciation Night.
That will be fun.
So you're making a national impact. It's starting to kind of get some steam, right?
It does seem like it's getting some steam. So yes. And we're trying to make it national and really ideally either sponsorship or some grants is really kind of our goal to make it a grant run operation. It was based on donations, and we had some different scholarship or contracts with some treatment centers, and obviously there's no event, so we can't really be having that. So hopefully we're back at it and we can be back in stadiums. And here's the reality, right? Everyone is stuck at home drinking, and they're going to come out of this and they may or may not have gotten the brain wired to drink more. Then we've had a 30% relapse rate in the recovery community, according to the AMA. And that's a lot of long-term recovery. We got work stress and home stress, and they're combined right now because we're all working from home.
Yeah.
That 30% relapse rate is from people with long-term sobriety. Is that what that number was?
Yes, correct.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not good.
Right. No. So yeah, we think AA is 10% recovery rate. So imagine now it's cut by 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yay! So Rome is burning, right? Rome is mother flipping burning right now. So here's the good news. We're trying to create something in the middle of all this. I think it's a bottom, right? We all need a political and emotional bottom, and then we can bounce off and then kind of reconnect, hopefully, through all of this. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. We are going to be a place that anyone can come and have fun as long as you're not drunk or high. And we're setting it up so ideally we do 30 events a year, and then the community does 300 events a year.
So the community being like the people that go out and do event, like they contact you so they can go host their own events. I saw someone commented in our thread here. His name's Mark, wants you guys to come do something in Nashville, but Mark could actually contact you and go and put together an event in Nashville.
Yeah, Mark Blakely, don't put it all on us.
Come on, Mark.
Come on, party boy. You can throw something. It's Nashville. There's a lot of fun stuff in Nashville.
So we pretty much, we need to wait for the world to go back to normal before people start to get some of these good events going, I assume.
Just go to Florida. That's all you got to do.
All right.
Yeah.
There's no COVID in Florida.
They do things differently in Florida, huh?
They eradicated it. That's not
Let me just say, at our Super Bowl party, everyone gets COVID tested the Friday or Saturday beforehand.
Oh.
White Sands is
providing those?
That happens. Yeah, providing it for free for all of us.
Okay. So that's actually really good to know. So people that want to come in person can come and get a COVID screen, and then you have a negative COVID screen and you can attend the event in person. I assume
everyone's positive. Everyone has to have it.
Oh, you got to have it. We're going to make a super spreader.
I
It's not
kid.
true.
Sorry.
We're not
kidding about
Yeah.
COVID.
No. So,
Nobody's
and
gonna have it.
masks and everything required, still
Right.
kind of like business as usual
Correct.
with
They
that.
will have masks and everyone will have a COVID test negative within
Negative.
24 hours.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. What an amazing mission you have, and what you're doing for like the recovery community and normalizing the lifestyle and helping, like, I would say, eradicate the stigma of what sobriety looks like and, you know, what the lifestyle is itself. So thank you so much
Right.
for the work you're doing.
We forget what a big deal that really is. Right? It's why people mainly relapse. Self-pity, thinking their life sucks, and it's because they're sober, their life sucks.
Just because they feel they're not a part of, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the benefit of group therapy and going to group meetings, and it's because you're a part of at that point. But like, then there's the whole a part of outside of the rooms. And I think that's kind of like where a lot of things have not been plugged in for someone that's now, you know, like a sober person trying to have a sober lifestyle. Like, they don't feel like they can go and do the fun things that they used to do or that their friends can do, and they're kind of isolated in that regard.
I know how I got sober, and if you are new to AA and or new to recovery and you got sober during COVID, you should get a 4X sobriety date.
That's right.
Meaning if you get 1 year, you get 4 years. You skip right to 4.
Can we do it like dog years, do you think? Like where like
7. Yes.
Yeah, let's do dog years. So they're COVID years, you guys. So according to Duke, we've now instituted if you got sober during COVID, 1 year is now the equivalent of 7 years.
Yes.
7. So
you're an old timer.
Yeah.
Now get to work and help those new guys.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, that makes you pretty old.
So old.
He's old
So
AF.
old. I'm 210 years old then.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap up. But I want to ask you a question. Have you gotten any like negative feedback on the name from sponsors
or AF, you mean?
Yeah.
So every time I'm on the news, that's the first thing they want to talk about. And I say, you know what, we can talk about that, or we can talk about the 82,000 people who are dead over the last 12 months for drug overdose. Yeah. Or if you go back 10 years, it's 500,000 kids are not at the kitchen table at Thanksgiving. Right? You know how many 500,000 families.
So you'd sort of turn back on them.
Yeah. It's like, screw you. Like, nobody's having that discussion. How about this pandemic?
All right. It's a good
segment. Secondly, I'm also like, if you don't get it, then you're not our demographic, right?
Yeah.
Our demographic's people who don't get offended by the word AF. It can mean a lot of things. It can mean sober and fun entertainment.
I think you found your catchphrase. Our demographic are those that don't get offended over AF.
Right. That's the first test.
Yeah.
But
Does
your
this
point,
offend you? Yeah.
We try not to be offensive, but people remember it. It's shockingly good marketing that I kind of stumbled across. And I think that it's a really kind of important message to kind of be able to turn around and say, hey, what about who's fighting for these kids right now?
Yeah. I think when I first heard about it and you first told me about it, I remember thinking it's like a perfect fit for you. Like, you're clearly passionate about it, and it's very you, the whole thing. Like, I just think it's great.
Well, I think for everyone who shows up, there's a 99 who hear about it, and it gives them a lot of hope. So I was on a flight, and the flight attendant was like, hey, I've heard of Sober AF. And I'm like, you probably haven't. You're thinking of something else. And then I was going to quit drinking, but I told my friend, I can't quit drinking because it would be no fun. And she sent me this video, and it was you doing an interview on like Channel 9 News. So it was us. And,
it was.
And it's so cool, like kind of getting outside of kind of my normal network of kind of recovery people to, you know, a greater group who really need this help.
Cool. Well, keep doing it.
Yeah. It was so great to have you.
Good luck.
All right. So after this, everyone go to Twitch. It's a free app. and then you click on the search sober a. Oh, look at that!
Look, we've got you.
Give it up for your IT team.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good IT team.
Yep.
So find that, and you got Bitsky coming up next, and he will take like a song from the 70s, like a Who song, and then put some EDM stuff in there, and then play some amazing guitar on top of all that. So it's pretty unique.
Cool.
Love it. Thanks so much, Duke.
Yeah. Thanks, Duke. So next week we'll be here with David Whitesock from Commonly Well. Talk about the Recovery Capital Index. And
ooh, good luck. Good luck following me.
Yep. Thanks again.
Right.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight.